As I've referenced and will continue to reference, this 2017 NFL draft class is loaded and deep in talent at all levels at the tight end position. It is one of the strongest classes I can remember ever seeing at the position, and is one of the strongest classes in this year's draft class. In a draft class that is honestly very, very good, with several positions, defensive back, running back, that are outstanding. The tight end class takes a back seat to none of them. And in this draft class, David Njoku from Miami is my number one tight end. He's my favorite tight end to watch on film. OJ Howard is my number two rated tight end in this class and also a first round talent to me. I look at Njoku and I look at Howard and I see two guys that have stud written all over them at the NFL level. But even though OJ Howard is my second rated tight end, my second favorite tight end in this draft class is Adam Shaheen from ASHLAND. Now, I'll admit, during the 2016 college football season, I knew absolutely nothing about this dude, and I know I'm not the only one. But once I got wind of the fact that a guy from a Division II school called ASHLAND was leaving school early to declare for the NFL draft, I thought either one of two things. This guy was a desperate idiot who was making a money grab, or this guy was really, really damn good and borderline special to be able to even entertain the thought of doing something crazy like this. So when I finally got to watch a few of Adam Shaheen's games and saw him at the combine, I realized that this dude is really, really good. And to me, outside of Njoku, he has the most upside out of any tight end in the 2017 NFL draft class. To think, this guy played at a Division II school. I mean, that's just crazy. How does a guy like this slip through the cracks? 6'6", 278 pounds. To give you some perspective, the guy that's about to go number one overall in this draft, Myles Garrett, is what, 6'5", 270 pounds? So Adam Shaheen, the tight end, is bigger than Myles Garrett, the top overall pick, defensive end. That's just crazy. Now, sometimes if you see a tight end with this type of size, you look at him and you figure there's some lumbering bloke, a guy that you use primarily as an inline blocker, especially in the running game, and every once in a while you give him a frickin' bone here and there in the red zone. But Shaheen is not that type of dude at all. For the type of size that he has, he is really, really athletic for his position, and he's got some nice skill to his game. And if he played at a Division I school, a lot of people would be pumping the gas about this dude potentially being a first-round pick and the third tight end taken in the 2017 draft. What stands out about him on film, first and foremost, is the size. I mean, you're talking about an absolute freak of nature in terms of his size at the position. He's legit 6'6", 278 pounds. Elite height, elite weight, elite length for the position. He's a monster. Adam Shaheen is enough of a monster that if you wanted to bulk him up a little bit, he could take a swing at playing offensive tackle a la Jason Peters from years back when he converted from tight end coming out of Arkansas. Shaheen is that freaky in terms of his size at the position. He's borderline offensive tackle size. For that size, he's a pretty good athlete. Now, when you look at some of the tight ends in this class and their speed, the guys like the O.J. Howards, and especially the Evan Ingrams, Adam Shaheen running in the 4.7s at the combine doesn't seem all that impressive until you realize that Evan Ingram's running what he's running at 6'3", 235 pounds at linebacker size, and Adam Shaheen's running his 4.7 with 3 inches more of height, 40 plus, almost 45 pounds of additional weight, a borderline, defensive end, defensive tackle, 3-4 defensive end type of size. Just crazy stuff. Now, he's a long strider, and he can take a little bit to get going, but his top end speed, especially on film, I think is a little bit better than what you saw at the combine. I think he plays faster than that kind of mid 4.7 speed that he demonstrated. Now, granted, some of that could be because of the fact he was playing against some ham and eggers and some second-level talents at Division II, but speed plays anywhere. And usually you can recognize real speed. And to me, I think his playing speed is better than his time speed. Pretty decent catching the football, too. Sometimes he will struggle a little bit to catch higher velocity throws with his hands, but typically does a good job of using his hands to catch the ball away from his body. He's a reliable enough target that a quarterback will have confidence going to him in a pitch. For a guy that played at Division II, you automatically assume that they're going to be very raw. Maybe sometimes freak athletes slip through the cracks and go to these lower level schools, but they don't get coached up as well, and they've got a lot of holes in their game. But just in general, when you watch him on film, he doesn't have a ton of holes in his game as a route runner. He's actually pretty good. He's crisp in and out of his breaks. He has a bigger route tree than several of the bigger name tight ends in this draft class. I think you'd be surprised if he popped on the film with how good of a route runner he is. Now, the other thing, obviously, with him being 6'6", 278 pounds with a 32-inch vertical, he has an outstandingly large catch radius, especially with his ability to catch the ball with his hands. Pretty much if you put it in his wheelhouse, he could bring it in. And that's impressive stuff. And again, for a guy of his size, he's better with his run after the catch than you would give him credit for. Like, I think he's better running with the football after the catch, at least by a little bit, compared to an Evan Engram. I mean, imagine you're trying to tackle a 280-pound dude almost in the open field when he's got some steam built up. That's a scary thought. He's not going to make a ton of dudes miss, but he'll be able to run through some tackles just because of sheer size and just because some guys, as Dion would say, are going to make a business decision in that defensive backfield that they're not going to want to get in front of him and try to square up and bring him down. And he has the speed that if he can get open and get some room, he can be kind of tough to bring down from behind. He was a guy that was pretty reliable in terms of not missing any games his last 2 seasons. Just a lot to like on film with him. In terms of, things that might concern you a little bit, for a guy that's as big as he is, you'd like him to be a little bit better as a blocker. Another thing, even though I thought he put up good numbers at Ashland, the type of physical freak that he was, he should have dominated statistically. And like I said, he put up pretty good numbers, but he didn't overwhelmingly dominate. Like, oh my God, look at what this dude did. And he's the type of guy. Now, maybe sometimes that could be attributed to crappy talent around him, crappy quarterback play, crappy game planning, trying to utilize Adam Shaheen in other ways. But you would have liked to have seen him dominate more at a lower level of competition, and it happened, but only to a certain degree. When you watch him on film, you can see that this was a former high school basketball player. Some of that basketball skill shows through. His size and athleticism combination could make him an absolute matchup nightmare because what are you going to do? Put a small 5'11", 220-pound strong safety on him? Give me a fucking break. A lot of linebackers are going to have trouble defending him. Defensive ends are going to have trouble defending him. You can put a big corner on him. Good luck with that, too. Because even if they're able to stick with him from a speed standpoint, he's so much bigger than pretty much everybody that's going to be defending him. This should be the type of thing that from a sheer physical standpoint, Adam Shaheen should be the most dominant tight end in the 2017 draft class, and it shouldn't even be that close. You do kind of wonder, though, if he's almost too big for the tight end position. But I think he's athletic enough to be able to pull it off. Like I said, he put up some good numbers, but he didn't totally dominate. And there is going to be an adjustment coming from a Division II school to where it's going to take time for this dude to catch up to the speed of the National Football League. But I think he has it in him. And I think this dude has a potential stud written all over him. Call me crazy, but that's fine. I'll be nuts for this guy. Because when I look at Adam Shaheen, in my mind, if we're talking about a third tight end going in the first round of the 2017 draft, it should not be Evan Engram. It should be Adam Shaheen. I'm going to gamble on that huge monstrous size, catch radius, how polished he is as a route runner for the level of competition he played against. And I'm going to gamble that this dude could be one of the best all-around tight ends in this draft class, and in 3 years, one of the best at his position all around in the National Football League. In terms of an NFL comparison for him, I come up with Martellus Bennett. Very similar in a lot of ways. Good athlete for his size and a monster. Martellus Bennett is a monster. Adam Shaheen is basically the same damn size. Basically the same type of speed, athleticism, quickness combination. And in Martellus Bennett, when he's right mentally and when teams get him involved, He could be a top 5, top 7 tight end in the league from a production standpoint. He really can be. And I picture Adam Shaheen being able to do some similar things. My final grade on him is an 88, which puts him right in the mix of being kind of a mid-second round type of talent in terms of his grade. But again, like I said, with this draft, if I'm a team picking at the tail end of round 1, whether that be somebody like Dallas, whether that be somebody like Pittsburgh, whether it be somebody like New Orleans, I want to gamble on a dude like this because if he pays off, he could pay off buku big. Like I said, after Njoku, this is my favorite tight end in the entire draft class. I think he's the third best prospect in the position. And I think he's a guy that if he played at a bigger school, a lot more people would be pounding the table for him like I am. But I think some people might very well be pounding the table for him because this dude is a fucking freak, period.